So let's start with the Deputy Minister. Mr. Theoharis, nice to have you with us. I understand it's been a very difficult day, huge traffic in order to arrive. Things are not the way we expect them to be in Athens. So, in order to cover as much ground as possible, I'd like to start with you, Deputy Minister, and ask you we've seen the Greek government approving the new national strategy for extraversion. It was just approved by the Greek government. So how does this strategy, and the one you're actually responsible for, how does this strategy strengthen Greece's global economic footprint, and what concrete and specific benefits can international investors and partners expect from that? So if it's possible to give us some examples of what this whole strategy is about.
Well, thank you. Thank you for the kind invitation and the opportunity to address this distinguished audience. Well, the first thing that we have to recognize is that we live in a very, very turbulent environment. This environment necessitates to have a long-term strategic view of things, to have strategic patience and depth in terms of the ability to change specific tactics, but still keep the targets that every government sets its eyes on firmly in its eyes in order to ensure that we have achieved our goals. The national strategy for extroversion is a strategy that recognizes first and foremost that in order to transform the Greek economy, we have to ensure that the Greek companies face straight into the global markets in order to be able to succeed in those markets and turn the sights away from the internal market and focus a lot on the external environment. Now, this has to happen at a time where tariffs and other economic instruments are being used in order to limit the scope of international cooperation. But at the same time, new opportunities arise. The European Union is making inroads in agreeing with other markets. Mercosur and the Mexican agreement have finished. We just completed an agreement with Indonesia. India and EU discussions are very much happening at an accelerated pace, and so on and so forth. So you see that we need to be very, very vigilant in terms of the opportunities that arise. Now, the national extroversion strategy recognizes the challenges and recognizes the opportunities and focuses on a few changes. First of all, increasing the instruments that support the Greek companies in their quest to sell abroad and to invest abroad and also to attract investment from abroad. The main instrument is Enterprise Greece, and we're going to bring Enterprise Greece closer to the companies, providing more tailored services and ensuring that it has an organization chart that's fit for purpose. The second pillar is ensuring and completing the transformation of the Greek credit agency that will ensure that the Greek companies are supported financially as they try to sell more abroad. And the third pillar is to work with the private sector, the government and the private sector in a strategic way with 5-year plans and in cooperation in order to ensure that we get the feedback from the private sector and we are accountable to the private sector in terms of how we remove the barriers that this feedback is highlighting in order to ensure that they're being helped in their quest to export more. The results, and I'm finishing with that, the results of the Greek efforts of this government since 2019 are evident. I can tell you that despite the fact that we see some many years of export growth, even this year is going to be a record year. If you exclude the energy products that are very much dependent on the stock market, so it's the price really is not under our control, then already with data of the end of September, we have exported as much as we exported in 2024. So the next 3 months, October, November, and December, are going to be growth months. Our record vis-a-vis 2024, which was a record year, is going to be evident in the next few months.
So we see a strategy already bearing fruit, but we also see a strategy that's focused on the cooperation between the government and the private sector, which is also very, very important. And with that as a fact, I'd like to switch to Mr. Papachristou, and we left the question actually in the middle, so I'll rephrase it. So you as Growthfund, of course, are evolving into a sovereign wealth platform. So how does this evolution and this strategy make you a catalyst for Greece economy, and also an anchor investor, offering a clear and investable path for other partners? What is your new role, and how does that exactly create a roadmap for entities willing to invest in Greece?
Thank you very much. Good morning to everybody. I would like, before congratulating you, Anna, for making this amazing event, this Athens Riviera Summit. These things like that we are missing in Greece. Really congratulate you on what I see around. And let me try to answer your question. It's true that the Growth Fund, which is the national fund of Greece, has been established around 10 years ago, with the main focus to combine the expertise of private sector with a mandate of the state to develop, to value, and public assets, and to make that as a growth driver. All this decade, lots of good things have happened, a very sound and a very solid, successful track record of many projects in the market, which have brought in the Greek economy multi-billions of value and creating lots of jobs. I'm just highlighting a couple of the ones that people maybe do not remember, but it's important, like the Athens International Airport, like the Attica Road, like big other projects. I will not go one by one. So now we are at the turning point of this stage of maturity, and I think we are answering what was really missing in the Greek market and in the Greek stage of investing. We are becoming what we call sovereign wealth fund, and let me tell you what means that practically. Practically, we have 3 pillars of strategy, which I call it transform, develop, invest. Transform, meaning transforming the public assets we have inherited in several important sectors of the economy, like transportation companies, like real estate companies, like postal services, like markets, in order to make these companies to provide better services in the citizens, create value, become reliable financial entities, and being able sometime for strategic investors. The second pillar, which I call it develop, it means getting all the infrastructure assets of the country, from ports to airports to maritime infrastructure to logistics, to several heavy sectors of the economy, and develop them at that level that at certain time are marketable. Marketable meaning ready for concessions, or for privatization, or for strategic investors. And actually, in the next 18 months, I will maybe name later on, there are more than 20 such projects in all these important sections, in port and marinas, in logistics centers, also in other infrastructure sectors like water management, desalination projects, and several ones that we may talk later on. And the third pillar, which is the new baby, is what we announced 15 days ago in the Athens International Investor Summit, the Hellenic Innovation and Infrastructure Fund, which is focusing practically on the new economy. The previous 2 pillars I just discussed are traditional sectors of the economy. So we're missing an investment arm in the new economy. New economy meaning circular economy, green energy, technology, and stuff like that. So with this new fund, which starts with 300 million euros and we hope to go up to 1 billion sometime, we'll be able to invest in this kind of sectors, which already we are present with another 3 funds. The Festos one, which invests in technology, high-tech projects, orbit, IoT, and several other projects, like the LCAC, which is in the defense sector, very high-tech projects, and like the Pharos, which I'm going to talk later on eventually. So with these 3 pillars, we cover all the economy practically. But last but not least, maybe the cherry in the cake, is that we have recently completely embedded the unit which is called PPF, is an agile business unit of 50 people who are horizontally connected with all the ministries and all the ministers. So they can connect the dots and facilitate and accelerate projects that otherwise you would need it to go from one to the other persons. So practically, if I would like to conclude that, Growthfund of Greece becomes one-stop shop. Meaning if somebody would like really to invest or to find opportunities, we can really help and connect with the relevant people and make things happen much faster and much easier.
Thank you very much for that. I'd like to keep that final note, the one-stop shop. If we can imagine how much Growthfund has transformed and what lies ahead, that's a huge leap towards doing better business in Greece. But I'd like to stop talking about Greece just from the Greek perspective and move to the outside, move a little bit to what other countries think about us and what foreign investors think about us. So, Mr. Hinduja, I think I got it right. We've discussed a lot about what Greece has been doing, and the Deputy Minister and Mr. Papachristou gave us a lot of examples, but I'd like to delve into your perspective and ask you, Greece and India have indeed come much closer in terms of financial cooperation and business development in the last few years. So, from your experience, what are the sectors that show the most interest and opportunities for bilateral agreements, and in what ways have we come closer, and what will come next?
Thank you for the question, and thank you for the invitation to speak here. It's been a pleasure. I think, you know, the evolution of cooperation in renewable energy is definitely something to note. I think what is more interesting, however, at this point in time, especially in the age of AI, is the shared focus on humanism that both India and Greece share. Both cultures are what I like to describe as rooted in ancient futures. We have a lot of similarities in the field of medicine, in particular, philosophy, even democracy. Greece is, in particular, the birthplace of democracy, and India is arguably the largest democracy. So I think there's a great deal to be discussed in that nature. In medicine, in particular, we have Ayurvedic practices. Over here, there's medicine rooted in Hippocratic practices. So I think there's a lot of opportunity to join forces and cooperate around humanism as a concept and how that translates to industry, in particular tourism.
So definitely a lot of sectors, definitely a lot of interest, something to work on for the future, right?
Absolutely.
Let's stay in this international perspective, and I'd like to go back to Minister Theoharis. Minister, just a few days ago, you were at the UN General Assembly in New York. So I'd like you to give us your insight on the overall climate towards Greece in this multinational setting, and how do you assess a country's credibility and positioning in today's environment? What has changed in the last, say, 5 or 10 years? Probably 5 rather than 10.
Yes. To be fair, Greece went through an unprecedented financial crisis. We lost 25% of our GDP at the height of the crisis, which can only be compared to the Great Depression. So this is something that is very difficult to comprehend from outside. But at the same time, the respect that we command currently for the kind of turnaround that we have managed to achieve, a turnaround that I don't think any other country can easily understand how big it is. I'll give you a very, very small example. Europe is reeling and trying to see how we can withstand the increase of spending for its defense from 1.5% to 3%. The adjustment that Greece had to have while keeping our spending over 2 and in many years over 3%, has been to the order of 30 to 40% of our public finances had to be readjusted in terms of decreasing expenditure and increasing our public revenues. So the scale and the size of what we did was huge. But this, although it's very impressive, was not the #1 news in the meetings that we had with the Prime Minister, with various sectors and various investors that either know of Greece, have invested in Greece, have vested interest in Greek companies or Greek bonds or the capital markets here, or they considering doing investment in Greece. I think the story is that we did not have to sell Greece to them. We had success stories being recalled by people in the audience or in the group and being transmitted to the other people present. So, for example, when Albert Bourla of Pfizer mentioned that he had 150 people in a very modest investment a few years ago, and now he has a unit, a multifunctional unit, not just an IT services unit that they started with, of 1,300 people. And 10% of those people have come from abroad. And not just Greeks coming back, but actually foreigners living in Greece and finding Thessaloniki a nice place to work. And when he said that he advised another company that now has a 400 people investment, and the CEO is calling to thank him for giving him the idea because he wasn't considering Greece, and now it's one of the most successful investments that he's ever done in terms of what he's doing. So this is what's being transmitted, not by us, but by them. So let me just close as well saying one thing. I think that Greece is leveraging, and I think that's the basis of our success, is leveraging our strategic position. And this wonderful summit is a microcosm of that. Greece, if you look at the map, is at the edge, of the periphery of Europe. But if you include the Middle East, we're right at the center of it, and India, all the way to India. So that's what we're trying to do, to be a bridge, both in terms of politics and in terms of the economy, to increase cooperation, and through that dialogue, to also foster a shared prosperity.
What you said is very, very important. We don't need to sell ourselves anymore. We don't need to convince entities that they can do business in Greece. There are case studies, there are best practices that speak for themselves. Coming back to Mr. Papachristou, you mentioned the 3 pillars. And I guess we could, for the next question, would be taking up the whole panel. So I'd like you to be as brief as possible. What is live right now under each pillar of your strategy, and what initiatives are underway? And I understand there are really a lot of them, so just try to be brief, but also give us the focal points.
Being brief is very challenging with so many initiatives.
That's why I'm asking you.
I will try to be brief. But I think this is eventually the most important subject, because I come from the private sector. I'm not from the public sector. Just 6 months there, and I was used to be in the shoes of these guys, and they're going to all of these summits. I used to go in these summits waiting to hear for concrete, tangible subjects, and not big theories and stuff like that. So, being practical, I will go for a couple of sectors we are there. I'll start for the energy. We are shareholders in the 3 big energy companies of Greece. DEPA, which is gas, Hellenic Oil, which is the oil company and refineries, and the PPC, the electricity. I cannot disclose all the subjects, but I know as a shareholder that there are multi-billion, 15 billion and more projects of investing in the next couple of years. This is not theoretical projects, are real projects, because I'm shareholder, so are there. I cannot say details. These guys, they have CEOs, you can connect with these guys, but definitely there are big, important projects, bigger and smaller tickets to get in. In the water infrastructure, you know, Greece will have the problems that many countries from here, I see they have from years. The idea is to be invested more than 20 billion in this sector to upgrade the infrastructures, networks, collection of water, desalination projects, etc. We are close to these projects and we can connect to take it further. Then, if I go to the heavy infrastructures like maritime infrastructures, there are a couple of ports which are in the process of tender of announcing the companies who will be in charge there, like Lavrion, like other projects. I cannot name all of them. There are a lot of marinas which already announced, either in the construction or in the work or in the tender phase, and much more will come in the next coming of years, because if somebody would like to see the macro picture of Greece, very good job in the airports in the last 10 years, but from a maritime point of view, we're still at not the level we would like to be, and we're a touristic country, a commercial country. This is a gate for the Greece and gate for the Europe. We must really leap there. There are another two projects, one in Athens, one in Thessaloniki, two biggest logistic centers. One is called Thriasio and the other Gonos, huge projects, which are going to connect outside of Greece countries with Greece and the European Union. That's important projects which are live projects as we talk, and many others in this infrastructure. I will just maybe cover a few words also for the new fund, the Innovation Infrastructure Fund. We are already looking for a couple of good tickets, projects in the area of green energy, of data centers. So probably those guys, I hope, Stelios, they will announce the first placement in the next 2-3 months. Join with us. And this is important because it's the first time we have the possibility to make investment directly. Meaning if an state-owned fund puts skin in the game, it means we put our own money there, which it's a, I think, signal of credibility of the projects. We're happy to collaborate always with HDBI, Harry and Antigone on very important projects. So if us, both credible organizations, we invest there, probably it's a good signal for you to join the forces. And there is a clarity. We go for technology, for agri-tech, you said before, from biotech, and very focused on what we're going to do. We have already live projects we would like to join with Festos, one of the technology funds we have. They have invested in orbit technology, in IoT, real projects, and they're going to deploy much more money in the next couple of years. And many others. I will need to stop, otherwise I will speak for the whole day.
And we definitely understand there's a lot of things on the table, but I also like to keep the fact, what you said, you put skin in the game, and that's also very important. It's not just products where you just expect investors to put their money in.
No.
You put your own money in, you put skin in the game. That's a whole new ball game compared to what it was a few years ago.
Absolutely.
But I understand it's not all roses, it's not all a walk in the park. So, Mr. Hinduja, I'd like to ask you, for an Indian company or for an Indian fund to invest in Greece, I understand there are opportunities. There are also challenges. So what are these, both for investing in Greece, but also for Greeks to invest in India? And given the fact that we do have Mr. Theoharis on the panel, what can or what should the Greek government do in order to facilitate the process? Because I guess it's a two-way street.
Thank you. Well, firstly, I haven't done business in Greece yet, so I'll have to do that first, and then yeah, we'll talk. And happy to give you my views after that. But you know, I think the cultural differences between the two nations is very clear, especially in the business context. This may seem like a rudimentary answer, but I think forums like this are what's needed more in both nations. I think the accessibility for private sector and public sector to be able to interact, liaise, especially for entrepreneurs and business owners that are not in the top 1% and not in the startup arena. I think there's a lot of attention on both the top end and the bottom end, but there's a lot of family-owned businesses, industrial businesses that are in the bulge bracket. And I think these are ignored, and this is really the meat of the activity, I think, in both nations. So I think accessibility is really the main point that's going to accelerate the cooperation, I believe, between both nations.
And I'd like to revert to Mr. Theoharis, both for a comment on this one, but also for a final round of questions. And I don't want to take the next panel thunder, but I understand that Greece has been building a deeper economic diplomatic link with countries across the Middle East and the Gulf region. And you also mentioned India in your previous comment. So what is your strategy for these partnerships, and how do you see them contributing to both regional stability and Greece's economic diplomacy agenda? Because I understand that's a multifaceted strategy.
Well, for us, cooperation with the Middle East, economic cooperation and political cooperation with the Middle East and especially with India is strategic. We're very glad to see that beginning January and March, 2 airlines will start direct flights between India and Greece, Indigo and Aegean. This will ensure that the accessibility that you mentioned between the two countries will be there, both in terms of trade and goods and in terms of people. I mean, it's not easy to do business here if you have to come here once a month and have to go through a stopover. So, you know, practical things like that are important in order to ensure that the ties are there. But at the same time, they're important as signals that the demand is there, that the interest is there, because of course an airline will not put a direct flight if there was no increase in the people's demand to go to their respective countries. So the cooperation that we have with especially the Emirates, I think we'll have the chance to discuss this in the following panels, has been amazing in terms of the investment that we've seen flowing into Greece, but also to the number of Greek people working in the UAE and working in the Gulf states, which facilitates flow of know-how and flow of well, shared prosperity at the end of the day between the two nations. So what we see is those ties increasing, and with that, the importance of our country increasing, because at least the way that we would like to see the height of a country is really the height of its relationships, the friends that it has. And I think Greece is, if you like, choosing actively a path of cooperation instead of a path of bullying that some other countries perhaps are feeling that it's to their strategic advantage to follow. So the Middle East for us is our neighborhood, is our shared cultural ties. I think when you talk to people from the Middle East that come here or they've bought a house here through the Golden Visa scheme, they say it feels like home. I mean, they feel welcome. The food is similar, the smells and the tastes and so on and so forth. So for us, the Middle East and Greece, like Greece and Europe, is home. So our bridge building abilities, our seafaring abilities, the historical DNA of the country, I think this is what's really needed in this region and shines through.
And I understand we're discussing about international cooperations as well. Middle East, United Arab Emirates, of course, are the focal point, but we're discussing about global friendships and cooperation on a global level, right?
Well, I mean, let me give you an example. What I mean by this bridge and what it means to be here in this. We are very active in the IMEC arena. And this is an important initiative. We didn't sign the initial agreement, but we're very active. It's as if we are part of the initial signing group of countries. We take it very seriously. We recently appointed an envoy, special envoy for that from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. So this is very active for us, and we believe that Greece can be an endpoint to IMEC, not the only, but it can be an endpoint to IMEC. But what is the value of Greece? Just to be the endpoint, really also to be the starting point, because those goods, the energy, the data centers, whatever, have to really begin from Greece to go all the way up to Poland, to the north of Europe, to Ukraine, and to other destinations, because, of course, the goods that are to be consumed in Greece from India are, limited, but the goods that need to go further to be pushed up further within Europe it's a different proposition. So this is the kind of connecting the dots that we're thinking in terms of our strategy in order to increase our value, but also to increase the markets that can be accessed from India or from other partners.
Thank you very much, Minister. And going back to Mr. Papachristou, we discussed what you're doing now, we discussed the roadmap, but what about the vision? Where should Greece aim to leapfrog? And how will you, as Growthfund, convert that macro view into actual tangible opportunities?
Thank you for this question. For the future, it's always complicated to have all the answers. But if I would summarize, I would say that Greece should leverage actually the three competitive advantages we have. First of all, we have a geopolitical advantage. I will say a few words. Second, we have a super brain power talent in Greece. I will say a few words later on. And third, also leveraging the fact that we are a nation which are quite flexible and quite agile. Let me tell you for each one word. Geopolitically speaking, we all know that Greece is the gate from the Middle East for Asia to Europe. We have done a great job in the airports in the last decade, and if we wrong word, not if, when we will upgrade in the three infrastructure of maritime, logistics centers, and railway network, and the government and the state is very committed on that, just I can confess because I see it, then we will be really literally gate for all the trade from all these areas which I'm saying. And where there, and I described you before, all this list of catalog of projects are focusing there. The second, about the talent, it's very important to tell you that here we have people, graduates from top university in the world. In Greece, we are number 6 per capita STEM graduates in the world. So you can find here people at that level with 1/3, 1/4, even sometimes 1/5 of the salary you can find in the West. So it's, I think, amazing opportunity this one to invest, and there it's important. And that's why I said in my previous part that we focus all our energy in the new economy. This is the future. And the last but not least, also have to play a role to combine the research and universities universe with the economy, with the start-uppers, with new companies, whatever. And there we play a role also as a growth fund, I will say. Just new news for you. We're establishing the Pharos, which is a new company, the AI factory for Greece, that will create an ecosystem of the research and technology people and all the entrepreneurs in order the technology upgrade to become real economic growth. So I think if you see these three things, just friendly advice, if I could say to everybody, is the right time to invest in Greece. I will say three reasons. The first, because we have really a state and the government which is entrepreneur-friendly. They have given many examples of that in the last years. They are in the stage. And second, you have an unparalleled talent capital at the very really low wages versus the rest of the countries. And last but not least, you have, I think now, mature, credible organizations like HDBI and other organizations like us, which you can connect and give push this country to go further. That's all.
So you have a plan and there's the right time, and that makes a very nice combination. So last but not least, Mr. Hinduja, my understanding is that you have put a lot of effort and you're a very strong advocate on climate crisis, climate change. And that's really, really a major factor. And it does impact investment and cooperation all over the globe. And with Greece and India, of course, being heavily affected by it. So do you believe we do have taken enough adequate measures to tackle its effects? And if possible, focus on the countries like Greece and India, which are already heavily affected?
Well, first of all, I'm sold on investing in Greece. So, climate change has become a sticky topic these days. I think there is, well, first of all, we spoke about, both of you have spoken about renewable energy with regards to Greece and India, and it's fantastic to see the proliferation of that kind of activity. I think there remains one very, very critical area that is not being paid attention to enough, and that is the health of our soil, food systems. Today, Greece, India, focusing beyond these two countries, we are all reliant on our food systems. We can focus on innovation, we can focus on all kinds of things, but at the end of the day, we need to eat. We need to survive, we need to focus on what keeps us alive today, and we need to take care of the hand that feeds us, which is our natural environment and the soil in particular. So I would, in particular, like to see much more focus, both private sector and public sector, on regenerative agriculture in particular, farming practices and supportive farmers that are focused on increasing the health of our soil as opposed to the degradation of our soil. I think that's an area that really needs a lot of attention, awareness, and support in all respects.
So thank you very much. It was really very insightful and fruitful panel. I guess we got a new investor in Greece, which is always good for the country. So once again, thank you very much.
Thank you.
And I would like to ask Minister Theoharis to stay put, and also I invite my friend and colleague Alexia Tassouli to moderate the next panel. Thank you very much.